from Maracay. And this is their good to go training. I'd like you guys to know that there's the exits here and here. There's a bathroom down the hall, but if you can hold it for the hour, that would be good. Remind you to turn off your phones. All good shape? Oh man, should we let one in?
11 hours.
There's two of them. I think we can do it.
Jeff hasn't started yet.
Go right up front. They save you spot.
How you doing?
All right. Well, we're good to get started. Yeah, Jeff Eschman. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Maracay Homes. First of all, I'd like to tell you just real briefly about myself. We're going to talk a little bit about the company, a little bit about Good to Go, and then we'll just get right into the program. So, I've been with Maracay Homes since 1992. I started here as an assistant superintendent. I built homes in the field as a superintendent or a project manager for about 11 or 12 years before moving into like an area manager, before moving into working in the office. And it really worked since. Mike Wetton is with me today in the back. He's one of our construction project managers. So before I started working for Maracay Homes, I was actually a house painter. Painting houses out here in Howard 2E when somebody's on a Maracay Homes job. Somebody said, hey, we have this assistant superintendent. So that's really where my career with Maracay started. My dad was a house painter. I tell people that other than being in the military, like residential construction here in Arizona is really all I've ever done. So I've been on job sites here since I was about 70 years old. I think that gives me a pretty unique perspective from being a person who, worked in the field, supervised the work. Now I'm in charge of a company that'll build 550 homes this year from Peoria to Cerrito. That's a little bit about me. The Good to Go program itself is, we launched this about 3.5 years ago, and since we've had this program going, we've probably had, it's somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 people through the program. Mostly in groups like this. I've done as few as 2, and I've done as many as 250 at a time. What this is basically an expectation setting program. Okay? I don't think anything that I'm going to talk about in the program today will probably necessarily be a surprise. But there is going to be a couple of things that are different. There's going to be a couple of things that are just a little bit, not maybe tougher or harder, but I'll talk about those when we get to them. But what I really think the difference between our program is and most is that it's not just going to be me coming here today and sucking all the air out of this room and then leaving, and then we don't look like this in the field. Okay? So what I'm saying is, what I'm here saying today is what we really do in the field, and this is how we really hold ourselves accountable and how we hold each other accountable. And that's just really what this program is. Right? This is the most important, probably 45 minutes that I can spend with you. Right? Telling you, first of all, what you should expect from us every time you go out to one of our job sites. And then I want to tell you exactly what I expect every time you go to ours. So when we walk out this door, we can just go do that, right? And not get in each other's way. So basically over the last, 5 years, we've been swimming through a river of crap here in the valley, right? Or just in the construction industry in general, while the economy's been down. But that's getting ready to turn, right? Or it's already turned, and it's heading up. So there's going to be a lot of good things happen over the next 5 years. But what I really prided myself in is that we've been a place where somebody can come to work even for the last 5 years, and if you're going to be able to make money anywhere, I want it to be on our jobs. Okay? So here's the Good to Go packet. Turn, if you would, real quick for me to the very last page. This is a document that we call an expectations agreement. And at the end of the program, I'm going to have you just rip this sheet off, and you're going to fill all this stuff out here at the very bottom. And you'll give me this paper, and I'll give you one of these Good to Go stickers up here. But what I wanted to do to start with is just read this little blurb that's right above where you sign. And it says by signing below, you acknowledge and understand the expectations communicated in this presentation, and further understand that you're personally accountable for the execution of these standards. And then what's underlined there? Yeah, all the time, right? So when is all the time? Yeah, it's all the time, right? So I also underline personally accountable, because that's what this program really is. Like, if you take the sticker out of my hand at the end of the program and shake my hand, like you and me are agreeing, this is how it's going to work, right? And so, like I said before, I don't think there's anything that will be a surprise, but there are a couple things that are a little bit tougher. And that's what I want you to understand before we go out of here. And it's not real tough things. It's like doing the best job that you can do, and maybe telling somebody else that they're doing something unsafe to give them a little coaching, right? Even outside your own company, yeah, we're going to go there. Okay, so that's what that's about. All right, so go back to the very first page for me. We'll really get started on the program. So really, what you should expect from Maracay Homes each and every time you go to one of our job sites. Okay, and I hope you can already tell I have very high expectations for every single person that goes to work on our job. Okay, I've got even higher standards for people that wear Maracay Home shirts. And then I've got impossible standards for myself. I expect perfection, and I rarely get it. Okay. So, what should you expect from Maracay? We will provide you with a safe working environment. We will provide you with a clean job site. We will ensure that your tasks are ready for you to perform on schedule. And then bullet point number 4 says we will communicate openly, respectfully, honestly, and always in a proactive and professional manner. So why do we have bullet point number 4? Well, it's because bullet point number 1, 2, and 3 don't happen all the time, do they? Right? Have you ever been to a job site? You've probably never been to a job site and found something not ready. Right? That doesn't happen. Okay. So here, what I expect though is when you go to a Maracay Homes job site, bullet point number 1, 2, and 3, my expectation for those people with Maracay Home shirts is it's that way all the time. Okay? But I am a realist. Built homes for about 12 years in the field. I get it. Right? Things happen. But when things happen, they should really be the exception to the rule. And when those exceptions happen, you should be able to have a conversation with somebody and get it fixed as quick as you can. Right? So I've been that little old painter that drove my little old truck with my little old gas, right, out to Albuquerque, Arizona, only to find a job that wasn't ready for me. And then run into some, dinosaur or project manager who acted like it was my fault. Right? I never want that to happen when you go to a Maracay Homes job. Again, if you can go anywhere and make money, it should be here. All right. So that's what you should expect from us. I'd like to talk a little bit about our core values and beliefs. We are as a company, okay? These aren't just a list of things that Jeff wrote on paper. I mean, this is things that we hold ourselves accountable to. The first one's really cool because it's a two-parter, and the first part says we advocate for our customers, but the second part says we care for each other, okay? So we advocate for our customer, much like the reason that DSI works at Maracay Homes. We're a tough place to get into. We're not an easy company to go to work for. And you have to have standards like your company has to be able to work here. There's been other trim carpenters that worked here before that don't work here now, right? We are a pay-for-performance company. We hold ourselves accountable. We hold each other accountable, okay? So we advocate for our customer. It's not good enough today to just build somebody a great home. Unfortunately, it's not. You have to give them a great home. You have to give them a great experience. You have to give them great service all the way along. Same thing you have to do when you're putting trim carpentry in a home. It has to be good, it has to be great, and it has to be great service if you want to work here. So it's all of those things. The second part of the statement, though, says we care for each other. I've got a couple really good examples of that. First of all, the spirit that's running like within our company in Maracay is, I've been in the military, I've been, on sports teams, and it feels like that. I mean, not, family per se, but like everybody rowing in the boat in the same direction. That's what we got going on. But the second part of we care for each other means, so I, Jeff Eshelman, feel personally responsible for every single person's safety when they go to our job site, right? And obviously I can't be in Peoria and I can't be in Cerrito, Arizona floor poured today, I just can't be there, right? If Mike Wetton can't be, stand in front of every house. That's why I'm here at 5 o'clock in the morning giving a presentation like this. This is why I'm a little bit more of a stickler, asshole, call it whatever you want, right? About saying who we are and how we want it done. Because I just can't be there all the time. That's why I read that first statement that says personally accountable. So how much do I care? Well, I care enough to hold somebody's hand about one time if they don't get it, right? And I also care enough to just kick their ass off our job if they don't act like they don't care, right? Because I don't have time for that. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of homes that get built over the next 5 years. So there's going to be an opportunity for some folks to do it other places, and I'll find them other places. Well, I'll just find them out of here, right? So that's the other part of we care. The second one down says quality and safety are in our DNA. Again, company core values, right? This is who we are as Maracay Homes. I mean, that statement right there, that's like, beating in my chest right now. I mean, I work for the dad who said, if you don't have time to do it right now, well, when would you ever have time to come back and do it right again? But that statement right there, that's not pervasive in our industry, is it? Measure twice, cut once, right? There's a lot of cutting 2 or 3 times, or there's a lot of hey, top heavy here going on, right? Hopefully not in this organization, right? That's why you're here. But there's a lot of that goes on in our industry, just trying to stamp it out, right? One builder at a time, one shrink carpentry organization at a time, one person at a time. So that's the quality and safety part. Now this other one says small things matter. This is a really cool one too. Because there are about 1 billion small things that matter, right, that go into a home. And this is a great example because it's a trim carpenter example. But I tell this to everybody. It's not, this $400,000 home that the customer just purchased. It's when that customer takes their key and pokes it in the front door and turns it, right? Does the key match up? Do those tumblers work? That's a small thing, but it really does matter, right? Here's another great trim carpenter example that I tell everyone. That little piece of base that we cut that goes behind the jamb in the master closet should look just like the trim around the front door, right? Installed with the same kind of care, the same kind of precision. That's a small thing, but it matters, right? Safety glasses on your eyes when you're nailing, safety glasses on your eyes when you're cutting versus safety glasses on your dashboard, right? That's a small thing, but it does matter, right? If you get a small thing in your eye, that's going to matter, right? So again, this is a company core value. We try to not only look at the big results. Here's this big $400,000 home we just completed, but it's all the little stuff, right? My other analogy is usually like an electric switch, a socket or a switch, for an electrician. If the electrician did everything he was supposed to do correctly and he put that in the wall, nobody will ever see the backside of that again. But if he didn't strip the insulation correctly, if he didn't make the connection correctly, well, that's a small thing, right? But it does matter, right? If somebody has to drive from, Phoenix to Mesa to pull a switch out of the wall and restrip some insulation or remake a connection, that's a small thing, but it was probably $100 worth of gas and time and BS, right? So small things really do matter. All right. And then we enjoy each day. It's tougher for me to enjoy 5 a.m. I mean, I usually start these at 6 a.m. But this is me enjoying each day. I love what I do. I love building homes. I love working with people. I love getting people to realize that there's a higher standard. There's more. And that's what I'm here to do, is make sure that this industry gets better. This program is not just about Maracay. I mean, we're trying to raise the collective professionalism of our whole industry. This is all I know. This is all I got, other than being, Army green, right? Making sure that this industry has a little more professional reputation. And it starts here. It starts at 5 o'clock in the morning in the room. So, all right. These core competencies, Individual accountability, everybody knows what that is, right? You know, go out and drive through schools when I'm driving about 40, and you find out what individual accountability means. These next two, these are the first two of the three things. These are the first two that are just a little bit tougher, or, you know, here's Jeff sucking all the air out of this room saying this is what we want, or this is what we expect. But when we get to the field, this is exactly what it should look like, right? So the second one, it's what's taken our company to the next level. And it's team accountability. And what team accountability means is, if you hear something with your ears, or you see something with your eyes, right? You're either going to be part of a problem, or you're going to be part of a what? Yeah, right? So that's not always easy to do, right? If you're working together, if you're a two-man trim carpenter team, and you know you're either the new guy or you're the foreman, to you know hold your buddy accountable if he's the one with the safety glasses on the dashboard, or if he's the one that just nailed in some little piece of shit base in the closet, right? To say that's not going to get it, right? But that's what team accountability means. It means not. If you've seen it and it's not good enough, you need to say the words. If you've heard somebody say it, right? And it's not right, it doesn't mesh with, you know, what our culture or policy is, then you just need to say the words. And then the last one there is personal best performance. It says on every task, every job, every day. You can't hide from that, right? Personal best performance on every task, every job, every day. And so that's what I'm saying. You know, at the end of the presentation, if you shake my hand and take the sticker and put it on your hat, you're just saying, I'll just do my personal best every time, okay? But the problem is, like I said before, you know, built homes about 10, 12 years in the field. And, you know, you can imagine that there's probably been times where I've been standing there looking at something that looked like crap, right? But rarely in my career was I ever standing there, you know, with my arm around somebody's shoulder saying, was this the best that you could do, right? Well, what do you think that looks like, right? Do you think you're like, yes, Jeff, that was the best that I could do? Usually it's one of these, right? Head on down. No, that wasn't the best that I could do. Okay. And what I'm saying is I just never want to have that conversation. I just never want to have it with anyone. So I'm saying go out there and just do your best. And you know what? 97% of the people in this room are just going to go, they were doing their personal best before they ever came to Jeff's sticker program, right? But there are 3% who don't. And you know what this program does? It makes it easier to find them. And I'll make sure they work somewhere else, not on my job. So that's what the program is all about. All right, that's my signature there in the middle of the page. What I'm saying is basically you'll keep all of this packet here except the back page. What I'm saying is that we will provide you safety, we will do all that. That means every time. That's how I can make sure it works that way. That's why, you know, I have those high expectations for people with everything I'm sure it's on. All right, so under my signature there, we start talking about what we expect from you. And hey, what do you know, that list looks a lot the same. So what you're saying by signing that very back page, I will do my personal best, right? Every job, every task, every day. So right, the next one says, I will work injury-free. Have you worked injury-free your whole career? I hope you have. I hope if you haven't, that you're planning on it. I'm going to build 450 homes this year, and we're going to do it injury-free. I'm on like day 19 of that right now. I have a painter down there blow his fingers out down the street about March 2nd on Saturday. Spray gun. Okay, so for the next, you know, for the rest of this year, I need to be able to do it injury-free. That's the goal. There's no, you know, don't go out and get hurt real bad, don't go get killed, don't do that shit. Yeah, don't do any of that, right? But we're going to find a way to work injury-free as well. So if you're signed up for that program, then that's why we're here today. Okay, it says I will follow the Maracay home safety requirements or basic safety. If you flip the page for me one time on the back side of that page, this is our community basic safety requirements. And I'm not going to cover all these, but I want to highlight a few of them. The first one says, all injuries, incidents, near misses, and unsafe conditions must be reported to your crew leader and then Maracay Homes immediately. So my first question is, well, what's immediately? Yeah, right away, right now, right? Yeah, shit, I forgot to tell you about it. Right now. So, I told you unfortunately about that painter, but we do have very few incidents in Maracay Homes to investigate. But why do we investigate incidents? Injuries. Why? Yeah, exactly. We want to find out what happened. You know, a lot of times it could be training. A lot of times it could be a personal choice. A lot of times it could be something that we did. You know, I've got an example of, you know, the window company working on the house the last day the framers were there. And the window guy pulls his air hose around the corner, pulls the framer's ladder over and hits the framer, right? So, you know, there could be things like that happen. That's why we do the investigations. Equipment failure, that's what that, well, it was probably both. That painter was an equipment failure because the gun broke, and that's what ended up shooting the paint through his fingers. But, you know, so what's the best practice? What's our lesson learned from that? Gee, when we're taking the gun apart and we're, you know, changing tips, how about shut the machine off and, you know, bleed the pressure off? Would that be a great idea? Yeah. And this guy would not have stitches in his hand and potential, you know, infection from that paint shot. So, anyway. But it does say near misses. So you guys know what a near miss is?
Almost.
Yeah, it is almost. We call it practicing for the actual event, right? It's the last time that something happens, and something does happen, but you don't get hurt. It's one of those, you know, where you step back and say, you know, wow. Either the, you know, blew a little piece of face up in your face, or, you know, the nail shoots out from some queer location, right? It's all those kind of things, near misses. Hit something hard, bounces out. We're actually looking, and near misses could be, you know, you're in doing a hardware, and you walk out of the house, and the guy throws a piece of roof tile off the roof, and damn near takes your head off, right? That could be a near miss. It's anything that happens, but you don't actually get hurt. So we're looking to get those reported. And again, that's not pervasive in our industry. But the more of those, and our project managers are actually out looking hard for those right now. Because the more of those you can fix, well, the less incidents that you'll actually have. Okay? And then if you go one step above that, we have observations. So our project managers and everybody in our office, I mean, from the secretary to the president of the company, go out in the field and do safety walks. Okay? And we're out there looking for these observations, because if you can find enough people, you know, nailing off base with their safety glasses on their dashboard instead of on their eyes, well, then you'll have less near misses. If you have less near misses, you'll have less incidents. And then what's out ahead of that? Well, you come out to groups like this at 5 o'clock in the morning to say words like this, and you say, listen, you're accountable, do your personal best. You know, that's what personal accountability means. It means you'll be the guy that, you know, has the safety glasses on your eyes and not on your dashboard. And you're the kind of guy that will make sure that those glasses are good enough, you know, the day before you go to the job, not when you get there and they're all scratched up, messed up, and you know you can't wear them. Right? So, okay, so that's incidents. 100% fall protection, I don't think that necessarily applies for you guys, because I think we have another contractor that's on all our shutters. That would be the time where I think it would apply to you. But anyway, our rule, and we've been 100% fall protection since 2007. So, you know, the framer's building the home, the roofer's on the home. We build anchor points into the roof. So anyway, what protected means is if your feet are 6 feet off the ground, you must be protected. Okay. Now you could work from a ladder. You know, that would probably apply to you. You could work from a ladder, you know, safely. A-frame ladder or extension ladder above 6 feet, but it's usually when people step off that ladder onto something else, like, you know, from the garage and put on shutters, where you need to be protected. And in most cases, protected outside that is tied on. And so that's why we have anchor points. All right, number 3 is the newest one on the list, and by newest, it's about 2 years old now. It says the use of cell phones and all electronic devices are prohibited while operating motor vehicles and or equipment on our job site. Okay? So we've got a Maracay policy. We don't text, talk, drive. We don't do any of it together. Okay, that's a Maracay policy. But, okay, and I can't necessarily tell you what to do between here and the job site. But, you know, we've all been there, right? You've all been on that cell phone call, and then you got home, and you know, the garage door went up, and you shut off your truck, and you hang up from that phone call, and you're like, I don't even remember getting off the freeway. You know, I don't remember what, you know, how I even got, you know, that's not good, right? And we've all been there. But it's just, I mean, when did driving the vehicle become secondary? Well, about the time cell phones became prevalent, right? So, can't necessarily tell you what to do between here and there, but if I could tell you that it's not worth it. But what I am saying is when you're on our job site, like when you know, turn into the community, this one's gonna do it. I mean, since about 07, 08 with Dust and Swift, you know, nobody can park in the dirt anymore. I mean, the streets are almost the most hazardous part of the job site. So we want people focused on driving, right? That is the task when you're in the vehicle, is driving, so focus on that. And the same thing goes with, you know, while you're working. I never see him, I want to see anybody with a, you know, cell phone propped in their ear while they're running their chop saw or nailing stuff off. I mean, while we're working, we should be working. I mean, I understand cell phone calls happen. Even if it happens when you're driving on our job, we'll just pull over to the side, take the call, make it, and go back to driving. That's the standard. Okay. And the same thing for if you're working and you get a call. Just stop what you're doing, handle the call, and go back to work. Okay. All right. Number 4 says hard hats are required to be worn. What's underlined right there?
All the time.
Oh, it is all the time?
All the time.
Yeah. It's inside the house. It's outside the house. It's an outhouse, right? It's all the time. Okay. If you go on a Maracay Homes job site, the roofer's wearing a hard hat. Why? What's going to hit the roofer on the head? Birds? Well, you know, I've been wearing a seatbelt in my car even for about 30 years now I've been driving. I've only been in one bad wreck, and it helped. Right? But I wore it every day before that, and I've worn it every day since. Well, that roofer's going to crawl off the roof, right? Make sure his buddy doesn't get him in the head with something. Right? So there's times, you know, when you're nailing off that little piece of base behind the jam and the master, you know, it's probably not as likely that you'll get hit in the head with something. So you stand up, bust your head on the closet before you do. We've all probably done that too. All right. There's a bunch of things on this list that I think fall under the guise of common sense. You know, number 5, I've been talking a lot about safety glasses on dashboards, right? Number 6, hearing protection. You know, there's other ones on here about heavy lifting. You know, get help, don't get yourself hurt. So common sense. Unfortunately, common sense is not so common, right? I usually ask this question at the start of the program. Is there anybody here that's been in residential construction like less than 6 months? A couple guys less than 6 months? Okay. All right. That's, I think, going to be more prevalent as we go forward with the industry picking up and more people coming back to it. And unfortunately, there's a higher propensity of people to get hurt that are newer on the job because oftentimes they don't understand either the hazards of what their particular job is or the hazards of the job site. Right? So that's an important period for a new person in the industry is really understanding and a really important responsibility for us to keep an eye on. And not only new people, but just everybody around us.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's also like, you go like, say you got your trim carpenters, your trimmers, that's different. If you've been trimming for 15 years, and then you go framing, and you frame before for a number of years, it's almost like starting over.
It's a different animal.
It's different.
Yeah. All the different
All of
hazards.
everything just, you know, it doesn't roll like it used to, you know,
Right.
until you pick it up. So you gotta watch your safety when you go from trim to frame or trim.
That's a great point. Number 7 on the list says proper footwear. So it doesn't say work boots, it doesn't say boots, but it says work shoes. And when it says specifically, tell us no ideas. The one that usually sticks people though is tennis shoes. So our rule on the job is work shoes. It's not tennis shoes. Okay? So if you're a tennis shoe guy, then take my sticker. Okay? Or make sure you have work shoes. Okay. Let me just skip all the way to the very bottom here. One thing I want to mention before I read this statement, there's a little safety at Maracay Homes within that 1877 number. Those ring right to this cell phone right here. Okay. Everything that I cover in this program is important. If there were one thing that was the most important, this is it. Okay. It says right to refuse unsafe work. And it says, if a condition should arise that you feel is unsafe or you're asked to perform an unsafe act, you have the right to stop that work, refuse to perform that task, and then obviously report that condition immediately. Okay. So when I say that, right, I bet you everybody in this room in their own head said, well, of course, right? I understand that I have a right to not do something unsafe. Okay. But, okay, here's the big but. I bet you if I were to go around this room, right, and I won't do this, but if I were to go around this room and say, hey, tell me about a time, right? Tell me about a time when you had like that sick feeling in your gut where you said, man, I hope this next 5 minutes goes well, right? I would bet that most people have a story. Unfortunately, I have stories, right, from when I was a painter. Unfortunately, I have stories from when I was a superintendent, and that's not good. Okay, that gut, that sick feeling, that's nature's early warning device saying we should, whatever I'm about to do, we should just stop. There's some other way to get it done, but we don't have to feel that way. Okay? And if you haven't ever had that feeling in the job, that's a good thing. But remember back to when you were about 7 years old with your hands on the bicycle grips, getting ready to hit a plywood ramp, right? It's that same feeling that says, I hope this next 5 minutes goes well. And what I'm here to tell you this morning, if nothing else, and I'm here to tell you everything, okay, is that there is nothing that we're going to do. There's no home to get trimmed, hardware. There's no home that we're going to build that's worth that sick feeling or anybody getting hurt. There's just nothing worth that. Like I said, this is injury-free. That's the goal. Even one person getting hurt is absolutely unacceptable. And we'll keep working on it until we win. Okay? So the second part of that said, and I will also never let someone put me in that position. Okay? And then when I say that, everybody says, well, of course, I've never let somebody put me in that position. But, okay, here's the other big but. Again, been in the industry a long time. And when I've seen people get hurt on the job real bad, and when I've seen somebody killed, right, it is that, right? It's the framing crew, that's brand new that, wants to show that they got the biggest nuts on the job and they're going to roll the trusses the fastest and all that. And then, somebody's laying there dead. Because, some crew foreman or something wanted to take over the world. And when it says, I won't let somebody clip me, that's why I have these phone numbers at the bottom. I would never expect somebody with a Maracay Home shirt on, like if you're having that sick gut feeling and you need to talk about how to do something different. Well, that's why we have this open, honest communication, so you can work that out with the Maracay Homes project manager to get your problem fixed. Okay? But that's why I have the numbers, because although I expect it to happen that way, right? If you ever run into this on a Maracay Homes job, and you have that sick feeling, and somebody's telling you, something, you call those numbers, and we will get your problem fixed. Okay? And if you're on another builder site, I've never had somebody call me from another builder. But if you're on another builder site and you're having that bad conversation, give me a call. I'll get my ass kicked, and we'll get your problem fixed. Okay? And I think people think that it's going to sound like, I use a plumber example because I've seen this kind of example happen before. you guys have all seen those homes where, you know, they dig the hole in the front yard to hook up the sewer. And typically now for us, those are about 6 feet deep because we're doing a more proactive thing with our pipes to get them up out of the ground. But for a lot of years, and still a lot of places today, those holes can be 8 to 10 feet deep. Okay? And, you know, I think people in the industry think, you know, there's going to be some superintendent drive up from Grand X, and the window's going to roll down, and he's going to say, hey, listen, I don't give a shit about your personal safety. You crawl on that hole and get that hooked up. I hope that never happens in this industry anywhere, but my suspicion is that it does. Okay. And my suspicion is that it happens a lot more prevalent when the guy doesn't say, hey, you can just crawl in this hole and hook this thing up. They just say a bunch of other words, like, hey, all I know is this house is behind, right? We're behind the schedule. All I know is, you know, you're a plumber, you need to hook this up. All I know is that's the inspector, this house is called for today. All I know is trenching, and how this hole got dug is in your company scope of work. The window goes up, the truck drives off. He didn't say, hey, crawl in the hole, take your life in your own hands. Didn't say any of those things. Just said a bunch of other words and drove away. And then you're left with a choice. Right? So if the choice is you're having that feeling, make the right one, right? Don't do whatever. Right? Call the numbers if you have to. Okay? So that's the most important part of this whole presentation, is working safely yourself and not letting anyone tell you. All right, so back to page number 1. We talked about basic safety requirements. The next one down says, I will have the courage to intervene. Okay, this is number 3 of the 3 things. This is okay, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. Courage to intervene means if you are the 2-man trim carpentry team, if you've been working together for 2 minutes or 2 hours or 2 days or 2 years, right? It doesn't mean if you're the helper or if you're the boss. It means if somebody's cutting their nail and the safety glasses on the dashboard, you will say the words to them. That's not rampant. That is not pervasive in our industry. What is pervasive in our industry is look the other way, right? Look the other way for safety, kit. Look the other way for, hey, that's not my job, man, right? Right? That's a little more pervasive in our industry. And that's what we're trying to change here. This is how it gets different. This is how it gets better. One sticker, one handshake, one meeting, one builder at a time. Okay? So if you take the sticker out of my hand at the end of the presentation, what you're saying is, even though it's tough, and I'm telling you, I know it's not easy to say something to your partner of 2 minutes or 2 years, you know, hey Bill, you know, about the safety glasses, just flip them on, right? But I need you to say the word. If something's not going right, I need you to say it. Quality, safety, anything. Okay? And what I'm also saying is, if you're the trim carpenter in the house, and the guy, the drywall sander's there, and he's standing on the top of a floor, he's standing on the top of a 6-foot ladder. We've never seen that before, have you? Stand on the top of a 6-foot ladder, you know, cocking in angles. You ever see that? Okay, so what I'm saying is, did you ever say anything to him before? What I'm saying today is, I need you to say something to him. Okay? And I'm not telling you that's easy to do, but you can do it. Right? And I need you to do it. That's how it gets better, when people don't just look the other way. Now, it depends on how you have the conversation with the guy, right? If you start with, hey, dumbass, right? Yeah, I can tell you, you know, how the balance of that conversation will go, right? And I've been building homes for a long, long time, but I don't know everything about everything. I mean, you're not supposed to stand on the top of a 4 or 6-foot ladder. So I usually just start asking questions if I don't understand, or if I see something happening, and it's giving me like that sick in the gut feeling, like, you know, that backhoe looks like, you know, getting ready to knock somebody's head off of that boom. What courage to intervene means, what putting the sticker on your hat means, is everybody on our job site is just, you can just call a timeout. You're the trim carpenter, and you go like the international symbol for the backhoe guy. Hey, stop what you're doing for about 2 seconds. And let me ask you just, and that's what I do if I don't, you know, totally understand what's going on. I just ask questions. Like, hey, can you tell me what's going on here? It looks like you're getting ready to knock his damn head off, right? Or, hey, can you come down off of that ladder for a second? I mean, it looks like you got about, 12 foot of work to do here and you're on a 6 foot ladder. I mean, you got a taller ladder somewhere on your vehicle or somewhere within your company that could be here because you're scaring the hell out of me, right? And hopefully that person's not going to be a smart ass, right? The sticker works two ways. One, I'm sitting here telling you you need to be strong enough to say the words, right? The sticker also works like you need to be strong enough to hear them, right? If you lost your damn mind and you're standing on the top of a 6 foot ladder and the drywall sander taps you on the leg and says, hey, that looks like an 8 foot ladder on your truck, and it looks like it would work out a lot better in this situation, right? So I need you to be strong enough to hear the words. Okay, but being strong enough to say. Okay. And I mean, you could be a smart ass about it, right? I mean, another way to ask a question to the drywall sander is, hey, let me ask you a question. You fell off that ladder right now. How far do you think the finger would stick out of your thigh, right? I'm guessing maybe, 4 or 6 inches. You could ask a question that way. You might have a effect. Right? So try that one. All right. I will maintain a clean job site. I will leave the job site broom clean daily. I will pick up and organize, including others, as I work. So what does including others mean? Am I asking you to pick up somebody else's something? Yes, right? I'm asking you to not walk through the front yard or not throw away a Coke can. Or if that drywall sander left this Coke can on the kitchen island, I'd like you to throw it away. I'd ask him to do the same for you. I don't walk past trash. Okay, I'm not asking you to push a broom behind a circus parade. Right? If you get there and it's dirty and jacked up and you can't do your job, well, then you should be having one of them open, honest conversations with somebody with American on the jobs, somebody with American insurance. Okay? So picked up, clean, all that. I mean, I've got an operational philosophy that says clean. It shows the world that we care. Right? It shows the world that we pay attention. Who's the world? People that buy our homes. Right? Or the next person that drives into my job site. Again, there's a lot of things, like you work from builder to builder to builder. Well, there's a lot of things that look the same, right? The homes are pretty much the same. But if you look real close, well, there's a lot of things that are really different too, right? I just want to be, and when I say different, I mean better, right? And I think when you come to our job sites, it should look better, right? Different, better. All right. Ensure that your tasks are 100% complete. And then the last one here says, I will communicate openly, respectfully, honestly, and always in a proactive and professional manner. When's a good time to have a conversation with a superintendent or a project manager on a job site?
Anytime.
Anytime's a good time to have one. When's the best time to have one? No, the best time to have one is before you've even started what you're going to do. Do you know every Maracay Homes project manager on every Maracay Homes job that you've ever been? And if you don't, you should. Okay? This is the open, honest conversation works both ways. Right? If you're getting ready to go out and trim, lot number 100 at, Whispering Heights, right? And it's the first time you've ever been on that job, find the project manager, right? Guess what I got here? That page right there, that's all the superintendent's phone numbers, email addresses. It's not a surprise, right? So that's the best time to have a conversation, right? Especially if something goes wrong later. If something goes wrong with what you're doing, then it's a lot easier to find a Mike Wetton on the job site. Hey, Mike, right, I'm over here trimming 100, and I don't know if you lost your mind, but you see this big bow on the wall over here? I'm getting ready to run a base around something that looks like a dog with legs. You might want to know about that. And he would probably appreciate that kind of conversation. So that's why the communication is so important. All right. What questions do you have? No questions. Flip to that last page again for me. Let me read that same statement that I read to start with. It says, by signing below, you acknowledge and understand the expectations communicated in this presentation. And you further understand that you are, hey, what's underlined there?
Accountable.
Oh, yeah. That means each one of us does. Or the execution of these standards, and what's underlined there to finish?
At all times.
It's pretty cut and dry, right? agree with what I said, you get your pen. Fill out that bottom part, rip off that back page, bring it up here, and we're done. Pen is up here if you need it.